Welcome to today's Bravo Leadership Conversation with Martin Migoya, co-founder and CEO of Globant. Since its beginning in 2003, the Argentine software company has redefined the professional services industry, emerging as a strong competitor alongside some of the world's leading tech giants. Martin will reflect on Globant's 20-year journey, its remarkable growth, and the exciting road ahead. Joining him in this insightful discussion is Jorge Becerra, Emeritus Senior Partner and Senior Advisor at BCG. Their engaging conversation offers a first-hand look at Globant's story, the key factors behind its success, and the unique company culture shaped by a passion for technology and the entrepreneurial spirit. This conversation was recorded during the Council of the Americas Symposium and Bravo Business Awards held in Miami on October 30th, where Globant was honored with the prestigious Bravo Company of the Decade Award. The Bravo Leadership Forums have become our signature platform for engagement and dialogue, bringing together Latin America's business leaders to promote cross-industry collaboration on critical issues impacting the region. These conversations offer a rare glimpse into the challenges and triumphs of remarkable business visionaries from Latin America who are transforming their industries and driving positive impact in their fields. This year, we're making these conversations into a special series you can watch on YouTube, LinkedIn, or listen to as a podcast on your platform of choice. Before we begin, I would like to thank our sponsors and partners of our Bravo series for this year: the Inter-American Development Bank, the AES Corporation, Amazon Web Services, Chubb Latin America, Inter & Co., LLYC, Atlas Renewable Energy, Bank of America, Grupo Mariposa, Grupo Promedica, Moody's, Salesforce, SAP, BlackRock, and FedEx, as well as our media partners, Americas Quarterly, Bloomberg Linea, and CNN en Español and El País. You can also go to our website, www.as-coa.org/Bravo2024 to learn more about our Bravo series. Thank you, and we hope you enjoy today's conversation.
Muy bien. Buen día. Good morning. Good morning, everybody. And congratulations to you, Martin, with this award of Company of the Decade. That is easy to say, but we know it has been quite a bit of a journey for you and for the company and your partners. And I think we all read regarding some of those milestones since the founding moment, since the endorsement a couple of years after that from Endeavor, that is so close to your heart and the one of the company, and also then the IPO. And fast forwarding that story, the more than 35 countries, and I think that you are present today, 30,000 employees, and also the impact that you have left on the life of so many people through this talent development and education. So congratulations for that.
Thank you.
But we're trying to somehow intertwine the stories of your personal story, your origins in Argentina, your family, your studies, and how somehow those stories and elements might be embedded in what you envision for Globant and what Globant is today. So maybe a brief recollection on those 2 or 3 things that were coming from Argentina or your family that were embedded in your drive to say, this is what I want to build. Yeah.
Well, first, thank you very much, Jorge, and thank you very much for this recognition that we're extremely honored. Myself, Martin Umaran, which is somewhere here, Martin, other of the founders, we are extremely proud for this recognition and very happy. But going back to the origin of everything is like, you know, I'm coming from a house It's a very entrepreneurial house. And my father is a mechanical engineer. He was, for many, many years, traveling the world selling fabric, selling jeans.
Yeah.
And I learned that, the first thing I learned at home was that the market was not in Argentina, was somewhere else. And but then with time, my father and the whole entrepreneurial spirit became a little bit weird at home, because suddenly Pinky, which is my father, got broke. And I remember one day we were having, together with my sisters, a beer in the park. I was about 21, 22. And he said, hello, boys, how are you? Hey, Daddy, how are you? Well, there's only 3,000 left. What's the meaning of that? Yeah, we only have $3,000 to live, and that's pretty much it. So from now on, you need to figure out how to do your things. And by the way, I will start sending some CVs to get a job. And that story has like the dark side of entrepreneurship, right? I mean, it's about all the bad things that can happen if you start a company. So for many years, I thought being an entrepreneur was an extremely complicated thing. But then when I started working on the corporate life, my first job was at YPF, I started to see that, all the big entrepreneurs in the world were making a huge change. So my father was correct. He was doing the right thing. And that was the way to really impact, and to change whatever we wanted. So I spent my 10 years, on the corporate life, working in many different companies, where I, working together with my co-founders of the company, so on and so forth. And then one day we decided, this is the right thing to do. Let's do it now from Argentina to the world, instead of just with the lessons that I learned from my father. So that's a whole environment, but I think it's a question about a family that has been living that for many, many years, has gone through a very difficult moment, and then, like doing it again, but with all the learnings that I learned from my father.
And I guess somehow that would explain some of the distinctive elements that we are trying to embed into Globant. And I think it's widely recognized on the markets, some new things that you did with that spirit of changing the world or changing the status quo. Of those that really differentiate Globant on their evolution from the pod structure, the change on the hierarchy of the pyramid of the organization, the studios, the AI labs, what would be your either preferred story on why any of those really changed the way and would impact the culture of Globant? Any preference that you have in your baby kids of these inventions?
I think Globant, I mean, the common factor of Globant along the time has been that we there. And the moment that Martin, Giver, Nestor, and I were talking in a bar in Buenos Aires back in 2003, and we were saying, what is going on in countries like India or Israel or Canada, that instead of making their talent to live through the airport like was happening, so they were importing opportunities for their talent in their home countries. So what they are doing, and we were asking ourselves what was going on, and when we sat down and we wrote the first business plan, it was, everybody thinks about a business plan or 100 pages of market studies, so on and so forth. But our business plan was one sentence, and it said, which version do you want, the official or the
The
if you don't tweet it, I would say the official.
The unofficial.
No, the unofficial, the real one. I would say the real one. We won't sell in Argentina. And guess why? Because we didn't want. Yeah. Because we knew how. So we there to take a plane, to go to the US, to go to London, to visit 3 friends, and we're there to start pitching Globant abroad without having anything but the 4 founders in Argentina. So that's kind of a signature of Globant in terms of we're there to do things that some others don't. So when we started seeing, for example, how pretty much all our competitors were organized, we always saw like, military organizations. Yeah. We saw like a CEO and then everybody, doing exactly. And we said, this is not the way to scale. I remember at some point we were receiving calls from customers saying I think we were less than 1,000 people. And customers were calling me saying, Martin, this is not working. And we were trying to figure out why it was not working. And the real answer was that people on the field did not have autonomy to be able to decide what to do in front of their customers. And we decided to do a massive change that was, okay, let's flip the orchard. Let's put all our pods on the top of the pyramid. Let's give them as much autonomy as possible. Let's put them a name, a constitution. They need to pledge that constitution. They need to define which is the mission of that pod. They need to define roles. Who's the professor that will teach others? Who's the entrepreneur that will create new ideas for that customer? Who's the accountant that will follow the metrics of that pod? Now, who's the AI champion that will push and will keep on upgrading that culture around the creation of Globant? And that created a whole different game in which these guys are taking decisions much faster than what we can take, as a central organization. And we're there to do that, although it was not something that it was practiced in pretty much any of our competitors, pretty much not any of our competitors. And I think that's one of my favorites. The second one would be how we managed to manage our culture. I mean, I think culture is kind of an imitation game. So you imitate whatever you see. So you come here and you say, okay, everybody's answering a message from a customer in less than a minute. And if you're in your former job, you take 2 days, now you will try to take a minute, right? So that imitation happens to be the culture of a place. Understanding that, we created technology that supported that. It was our Start Me Up program, which was every Glober has 20 stars per month to give it to any other Glober based on our values. So if a Glober comes to me and says, Martin, let's buy IBM, I will say, oh, okay, great. We will not be able to buy IBM, but you are thinking big enough. So I will give you a star for thinking big, right? And that dynamic creates like a whole, nowadays we're 30,000 people plus. And we're giving, and the system is almost 30,000 stars per day. And that creates a map of who is making the difference inside organization much more efficient than any org chart that you may imagine. And when we needed to upgrade the culture for certain things, I mean, let's say Globant started to grow horizontally in terms of which are the offers we were able to do. So we were discussing, okay, which is the way how we can now do more cross-selling, or how we can now implement more things using all the AI things that we developed. And we created 2 new values. One which is cross-selling hero, one AI champion. And now people started to recognize those that are doing those things in a more efficient way. So it's not just a way of understanding who's making the difference, but also a way to upgrade your culture whenever you need to change things on your organization for the better. So those 2 are kind of my favorite, but I have many more.
I would imagine, but that resonates to some recent stories that I heard. One, I think, was yesterday night, when one of your investors was telling their own story on how they approached Globant and you, and he was saying, we did a roadshow of identifying potential companies to invest in Latin America. And out of the more than 20 that he had visited in Latin America, there was only one then. All their revenues were outside Argentina and none in Argentina or their home country. That sense of global aspiration was very clear from the initial moments, and that made a difference for you. And
the guy was Francisco.
He would mention that. But, and the other one, this sense of changing the mindset on organizational models remind me of, I have a great mentor at BCG, one of their CEOs for many years, that created a little paper that was called Jazz versus Symphony in terms of leadership styles. While the symphony, it's perfect in terms of the direction of one director telling everyone what to do. But the other one, the emerging sense of leadership model that I think you and Globant has sort of fostered, it's Duke Ellington on the jazz companies, where you have very bright sort of artists trying to play to their best and somehow creating the music from the stage without almost a partiture. Mm-hmm. So I guess Globant is and could be that expression.
I would prefer Billy Idol.
Okay. So without putting the name, the sense of that inversion of the hierarchy of the pyramid. So thank you for that. And going back to the culture, I think you said that heat map really makes you proud in terms of how the company walk the talk in terms of the values that you have embedded. The question would be, if you would think about the Globant of the next years, what might be new values that might be expressed, or new behaviors that would be imitated throughout the organization? Something that would come with the new world. Yeah.
They're all here.
Okay.
Not necessarily
written yet.
Yes, but no. The thing is, I believe this evolution will keep on happening. The next generation of technologies will change a lot of the things we do in the way we do it, and will move to something else. And that new thing that will happen. So, for example, one of the things that we're totally obsessed with is following the next generation of technologies. 10 years ago, I stood up in front of a whole organization, and together with the 4 founders, we said 100%, and we said 100% of the people of Globant must learn, the rudiments of AI. 10 years ago. And we train 100% of a company, and any of the Globers here can testify that. And we train 100% of a company with the rudiments and the difference between programming a computer and training a computer. And that was the product of something that we were obsessed with, and that we were studying, that we were playing. And I think that repeating and make repeatable that kind of early discoveries for us has been very important. And that portion of the culture sometimes is the most difficult, because everybody's so obsessed trying to achieve the numbers and the things that they have in front of them. And we have repeated that many times. I believe, for example, now and we believe that the connection between creativity and technology will get stronger and stronger. And the reason for that is that we ended up putting together a new division called Globant GUT. And Globant GUT is about creating not just technology, but also creativity and advertising that connects with marketing. That, for example, something we did for Mercado Libre, which is one of our customers, not just the campaign from Colapinto during the weekend that you saw, the Colapinto running the Mercado Libre. That was the GUT creation. We are very proud. But they did something very, very special, which was, at any moment, if they saw a shakes of hands, which is the same thing as the logo of Mercado Libre. Then related to the content that is appearing, a QR created by AI appears there that takes you to a special product or a special offer in the Mercado Libre website. So look at the amount of things that are happening right there. It's like AI detecting a handshake, sorry. Then understanding which is the best offer for that specific scene, and then putting that in a QR and relating that and making that transaction happen. So the amount of creativity that can be mixed with technology every day is bigger and bigger and bigger. Hence, like 5 years ago, together with Martin, we started to create that marketing idea connection and Globant. And that's how we met the GAT guys, and we ended up acquiring GAT, that now creates an offering which is absolutely different from any other technology player in the market. Or agency. Because we have the scale and we have the knowledge and we have everything to provide this next generation of solutions. So that obsession about creating and discovering new things. What's going on now with the space? What's going on with the number that we saw today in the round table? 29 times more satellites in the next coming years, 3 years. So those things always creates and triggers new initiatives early on. Sometimes many of them fail. I'm not saying that we're successful in all of them, but that kind of evolution, I would say, that is one of the most important things that must happen at Globant, and that I'm looking for my team to.
That's great, because I think there is a full recognition of that sense of vision that you embedded and your partners into the company that inspire the whole organization, and the monitoring of all these trends that will change technology. And I heard you said sometimes technology will always surprise you. But at the same time, what I heard is that it's not only about the vision top down, but the ability, once you set a vision, to really listen to your teams and your people. And so I would add to the technology will always surprise you. The question to you is how your teams and people have surprised you, and how really you feel, let's say, enriched by that ability of listen and really receiving good ideas on good sort of proposals.
So many times, Jorge. I mean, many times I'm totally against something that I'm demonstrated wrong, many times. Or in favor of something that I'm demonstrated wrong. So that happens, every day. Special things that we did we created a network enterprise, which is a group of studios that are taking care of the back end of the companies. And in that space, I got demonstrated wrong many times with my team. But that's a big exercise. And this idea of having a culture that is very back and forth, that can be challenged at any moment, has been instrumental for us in the creation of Globant.
And I guess any story that that would be, let's say, close to your heart, with this aspiration of co-creating the new things and changing the world, but in partnership, true partnership with your clients, and how you think your partners, your clients have really benefit of that openness and generosity of Globant in trying to co-create with them, and how that also benefit you and Globant in that, let's say, joint partnership and process of co-creation.
Yeah, and I would say that Globant is always trying to do, as I said, to there, right? And if I want to make a parallel, sometimes I try to explain Globant in the way to my customers in a way that is, when you see, let's make a parallel with a Tesla car, right? When you see a Tesla from the outside, it looks like any other car. And you can say, yeah, well, it looks a car. I mean, yes, it's electric, but from the outside, it's pretty much the same. when you sit down on the Tesla, then you just accelerate a little bit or just play with the interface. Now it's being imitated by many others, but and you start seeing the difference, and you start seeing the authenticity and the character of that car. So the same thing happened with Globant. When you see Globant from the outside, it looks like, okay, it's another technology creation company. It looks very similar to some others. And our challenge is that when you sit down together with us, you start to see that difference. So in some way, what Elon did was he reinvented the automotive space, not just that, many others, but the automotive space for this specific case. And he did something that nobody did before. And what we want to do in our space is that we're trying to do every day from the inception of this company is to reinvent the way these professional services are being created. And there's a lot of space for that. The status quo has been played for the last 70 years pretty much in the same way by pretty much all of our competitors. And trying to change that, trying to be organized in a different way, charge our customers in a different way, trying to invest together with them in a different way, like what we did with LATAM Airlines that I saw Roberto here. Roberto did something magic. In the middle of the pandemic, he decided to keep on going with all the planes landed. And zero revenue. He decided to keep on going with the project, with the transformational project we were doing, because he knew that when the activity came back, or when the activity came back, he would be ready to surpass their competitors, which is, by the way, exactly what happened. And we took a risk there because we were not knowing that if he was able to pay, because they entered into Chapter 11, we took a risk, understanding that the partnership was much more important than that. Absolutely. Instead of sending lawyers, we send more engineers, basically. And that was a transformational thing. So that's the kind of thing that I mean when I say trying to reinvent the way these things are being created. So I hope that culture can keep going, and that culture, we something pretty similar with a company with a cruise line company here. So the guys were not able to pay because they had all their cruise lines docked. And I said, okay, no worries. I know you need a project. You can pay me in cabins. And they pay me in cabins. Of course, I sell the cabins back to them much more expensive 2 years later. But that kind of approach is what gives us sometimes an edge in terms of reinventing the way that you relate with your customers. I'm just trying to be graphic here, but it's much deeper, deeper thing.
We know, and there are so many stories, and we know that we're running out of time. I would propose to you 2 ideas, topics, and you choose what to tell us about those. One would be your entering an association with the sport business. We know that you work for so many industries, but how it really came about the sport businesses and initiatives that you have. And the other one, and you choose, it's your well-recognized passion for entrepreneurship, not only in Argentina, your relation with Endeavor, and your ability to really spend one-on-one time with emerging entrepreneurs, including your kids and your sons, in promoting this sense of spirit for changing the world. So any of those 2, and
I would comment on both of them. That was one of the things that I was wrong. I didn't think that the sport industry would be something interesting for us, but Martin convinced me. And we did the first deal, making a deal together with La Liga. So we ended up acquiring all the technology from La Liga in Spain. So that was like the first big deal on the sports side. Coincidentally with that, or soon after that, we crafted a deal with FIFA, and we became sponsors of the famous World Cup 2022
in
just by chance. Yes, and then basically providing technology and getting brand recognition in exchange. And We did the same with Formula One, and now we are partners with Formula One. And we did the same with the NBA league, not with the NBA, but with LA Clippers. And we started together with them the creation of the Intuit Dome in Los Angeles. The Intuit Dome, if you haven't been there, you should. It's the most advanced technological experience in a stadium ever. You just walk in, security is being done without you noticing it. The second phase are just cameras watching at you, and people telling you, welcome Martin, welcome Jorge. You just go through, no stop.
No touching.
Then you go through, you enter into the stores, and you just pick things, and you just leave. And then you receive a message on your app, okay, you bought this cup, it's $36, and it's getting charged. When you sit down on the seat has three impressive things. Each seat has a seat detector, so it can detect if you are seated or not. So it can award you points to be on time for the beginning of the game. The second thing is that it has 4 buttons, so it allows you to play with the buttons on your seat to play games, live, which is interesting about detecting, who's the best player, voting for whatever. And then it has a light. And with those 3 things, it's a platform to do
everything.
An amazing amount of things. Yeah. So I see Steve Ballmer, which is the owner, and basically the story was Steve called Steve called Bob Iger saying, I want something similar to Disney. And Bob said, well, Disney is, you should talk, we cannot do it. You should talk with Globant. And they call us to do that experience. But all those things, I mean, today Globant is the creator of the most advanced experience, technologically speaking, in a stadium worldwide.
All over the world. Yeah.
So the momentum that is being created with FIFA, with La Liga, with LA Clippers, with Formula One, and now also with Franco Colapinto, that support that appeared from is impressive. And then the other thing about entrepreneurship and why we support entrepreneurship. Listen, I think that at the end of the day, everything we do, and I know that Globant is kind of I like to say, like people that collect wines. I heard this phrase the other day, I love it. There are people that collect wines. Some other people collect cars. Some other people collect stamps. At Globant, we collect characters. So Globant is a collection of characters. Yes. And when you say that, what I'm saying is, Globant is a collective construction which is a vehicle to transmit what we have inside. So that's why it's such an authentic company, and that's why it's not just a vehicle to create money. It's a vehicle to create what we have inside. And what we have inside is a lot of entrepreneurship, a lot of love, of course, but a lot of entrepreneurship. And transmitting that to the next generations is like central for us, essential for us. So that's why we support that much those initiatives.
Martin, thank you. We know there are so many more stories, but we want to thank you for being here today. And everyone is extremely thankful. Maybe we know that you wouldn't be able to be tonight, that your partners will be receiving, because this is somehow honoring the company.
Yeah, my brother that I don't have, Martin, will receive it.
Great. But before that, because we knew that some people really wanted to say something to you, and you would not be here today, we want to share with you some sort of videos of people that really wanted to say thank you. So we'll go ahead and now just see the screens. Yeah.
Hola Martín, ahora me toca a mí felicitarte a vos por este hecho increíble que conseguiste. Estamos muy orgullosos todos los argentinos de que sos el empresario de la década. Es algo que no sucedía hace un montón y la verdad que es un honor y un orgullo enorme que seas vos el que se gana este premio. Sé lo mucho que te lo mereces y espero que lo disfrutes mucho con toda tu familia, que sigas luchando por tus objetivos como estoy luchando yo, como me ayudaste a conseguir mis metas. y gracias por todo una vez más. Espero que lo disfrutes muchísimo, te lo mereces y un abrazo enorme. Chao, chao.
Hello, Martin. Good evening. I wanted to congratulate you on the Company of the Decade Bravo Award. The job you've done with your team in building Globant is nothing short of amazing. Having been at your board for several years, I was really impressed at the quality of the team and the quality of the execution and the consistent growth rate that you guys have had all these years. So congratulations. It's also a pleasure to count you as a friend, and I wish for many, many more years of success and happiness to you and your team. All the best.
Martín.
Gracias. Thank you so much for doing this together.
Bien. Esta era la sorpresa de Franco,
I was not
¿no?
expecting.
Ah.